Welcome back. So in this lecture, let us see how to handle auto-suggestive dropdowns. So in the last lecture, we have seen handling static dropdowns using select class. So we will now see what are auto-suggestive dropdowns. So for that, I will go to one of my practice project again, and there is flight booking practice page. I think it's automation 1. Yeah, this one. Right. So in this page, drop downs practice. So there is a drop down here. By default, you will not see any options. If you start typing, then you will see the options, right? So basically, options are auto suggested based upon the user input in this drop down. So now let's see how to handle this. Right. So first things first, you have to enter some keywords into that. So based upon that, your suggestions display, right? So we should actually get a locator which extracts all the three items. Okay, so basically you need to write one common locator which is common for all the options displayed in this list. Now here it is a 3. So if you type os, then you may get 2 more items in the list, right? Okay, so one locator which identifies all the items present in the list. It could be 2, 3 or 10, right? So then we can use find elements plural and write this locator so that all will be grabbed into one list, and then we can iterate over that list, and then we can click on whatever option we want. So that's the approach. Okay, so let's start doing it, and then you will get more clear picture on how to handle this drop downs. So now my goal here is to select Ind, and then from the options I have to select India, and I have to make sure if India is selected after I do this operation, right? Let's automate that process. So for that, first of all, let's start by hitting that URL driver.get, and this is our URL, right? And next I have to enter information into this, could be, it look like edit box, right? So whatever it is, if you want to enter information, we have ID called auto suggest. So this would be easy for us. Driver dot find element by ID auto suggest dot send keys Ind. Perfect. So after this, automatically when you type this, you will see the options popped up. So if you carefully observe, there is slight delay after you type and options displayed. So meanwhile, Selenium will quickly try to identify the options, and as it is taking 1 or 2 seconds delay, your script might fail. So let's introduce some sleep. Okay, so time dot sleep, so that it will wait for 2 seconds and then it will continue execution. So in this 2 seconds, that options will get displayed. So you need to import a package called time. Okay, so in the next lectures I will introduce exclusive timeouts in Selenium like implicit wait and explicit wait. So for now, let's pass this for 2 seconds and then resume our execution. Okay, now our next goal is to find a locator which is common for all these options. But problem here is when you try to spy, that list is getting disappeared. If that is the case, one hack around for that is simply right click and inspect. So this way you can go to that specific location. Right, so if you carefully observe, there are 3 options popped up in the list, right? So here also, this is one, li. So basically each option is stored in this li class. So if you open this, in the first li, British Indian Ocean Territory is there. In the second li, India is there, and in third li, Indonesia is there, right? So if there are 10 options, then you will see 10 li tags like this. So using this information, we should build one common CSS which represents all the options of the drop down, so that you can use find elements plural later. Okay, so li class equals to UI menu item. So this is the CSS tag name attribute equals to value, right? When you hit enter, you get 3 items, but your actual element is present inside this li. So there is another child element called anchor a. So there exactly your option is present. So if you want to traverse from parent to child in CSS, you have to give space a, right? If it is XPath, then you should give slash to go from parent to child. If it is CSS, then a. Enter, and you see that now it exactly reaching that links. So this is now common CSS which will give you the all the list items. Okay, so here you type this. Tomorrow if you type os, and again when you give me a second, and right click, inspect, right, Australia, right? Now when you hit it again, you will see 2 options, because when you type os you got 2 options, Austria and Australia. So this is your right locator which will give you the list of items. So now let's come back to our editor, and let's say driver dot find elements plural. Okay, elements by CSS selector, and let's store that in variable, because whatever list you got, the list you stored in one variable called countries. Okay, now if you want to know the length or count of countries written, then you can use this method, right? Len of countries. So this will return you total number of items present in the list. Okay, but our goal here is to iterate over that list and identify our desired element so that we can click on that. So now to iterate over each and every element in this list, you can use for loop. So we know that there is a syntax that for country, one variable in countries, isn't it? So basically this is the list. In every iteration, one item from the list will be retrieved and it stores in this variable called country. So when I say one item, so right now there are 3 items, right? When we type in, so in the first iteration, first item will be retrieved, which is British Indian Ocean Territory. That first web element will get stored in this country. So on that first web element, let's do country dot text, so that it will return us this text called British Indian Ocean Territory. So now we can put condition. If the text, whatever it return, if it equals to India, because we need to select India option, so that's why. If it equals to matches with India, then our goal is to click on that. Simple. Because our ultimate goal is to type a keywords called IND and search for India. Once the match found, we just need to click, and that's all. So now when this iteration starts, for first time it gets British, so this if condition is not satisfied, so this will not go inside, and the loop starts again. And second time, the second object, it found country called India, right? So dot text will retrieve the text from it, which is India. There is a match, and then it will go and blindly click on that option wherever match found, right? So once we click, our goal of iterating this for loop is completed. Okay, but still there is another country to iterate, but that's not required for us, right? Because our desired option is found and we clicked on it. So why to do third iteration once you already done and you got your desired element? So you can simply give break. When you give break, then your for loop will end abruptly. So that means when our condition is satisfied, we are clicking on that and we are closing this for loop as our job is done. So it will not have any further loops when it encounters break statement. Okay. So now let's run this test and see how this goes. Actions, right click, find elements test. So this should land on the page first, and type IND, give 2 seconds gap, and then try to push India. You see that it's successfully selected. And the approach what we have used here is to scan all the items suggested in the drop down, and we are having a condition to check where our desired option matches. So after you select that, your next goal could be like verify if this option is successfully selected or not. So that means on this edit box you have to do dot text to see if India is present. Okay, let's see. So you already know how to get element of that drop down, right? And if you do dot text, now technically you think that India should display here because that option is selected, isn't it? When you are grabbing the text after you select, it's India present here. So you might think that that should come in the output. Technically that should come, but you won't see this in your output because Selenium loads the DOM when it opens the page. So afterwards you updated this drop down, right? And this element is present now in your drop down. But Selenium do not have knowledge of this update because it will read the DOM again fully once you refresh or once page loads. But here no page loading is happened, right? So it will not have the update what it has done on the web page if there is no loading event happened on the page. So still it returns blank only. Okay, this is a special case. So because without reloading the page, we are selecting this option. So Selenium will not have information about it and it will still return blank assuming that there is no option present. So in this special case where loading does not happen, and if you still want to grab any text which dynamically happens like this, you should do another way of grabbing the text instead of this. Let me show you. So there is one on this locator itself. There is one method called get attribute. Okay, so this method will actually fire event on the DOM. So in the DOM there is an attribute called value which will store the text whatever you got stored here. So as it is interacting with DOM, so if you update here, automatically in DOM also this value get updated. So basically on this locator, on that drop down, you are asking to get a value, right? In HTML DOM, this value attribute stores the whatever information you enter into the box. So we are simply asking get me the attribute of this value. So obviously this time it should be India, right? After you select, you should see that India is populating here. Let me refresh. This will get selected. So let me write one assertion. Assert this value if it equals to India. Perfect. So whatever it returns, we are comparing that this is an actual, this is an expected. Actual equals to expected. This returns true if match happens. So we are using assert statement. So assert will always expect the statement to become true. If this does not match, then assert of false and your test will fail, right? So this is how we are using assertion to see if the logic what we have written is correct or not, because our ultimate goal is to check if option is selected successfully or not. So here is the logic and here is the verification point. Okay, so let me run this one more time and see if everything is going good. And this way we can conclude this auto suggestion concept. Okay, it's selected India, and if you see in the output there is no error, process finished with exit code 0. You see that when you try to print with dot text, nothing is printed, blank, but next you put some assertion and then it matches. So that's how you deal whenever you see any drop down where suggestion comes based upon your input. This is how you need to handle. Alright, so that's pretty much about this lecture, guys. Thank you.